How's it, guys and girls? Welcome back to the Kingfisher channel. We are here in Kingfisher in Durban as always. Please guys, if you're new to the channel, consider following us down below. If you like the video, please click like and it's a little thumbs. And yeah, let's talk today about the Mac Daddy of mackerel, the king mackerel itself. So, the king mackerel, Scombromorus commerson, is known by quite a lot of different names. In South Africa itself, it's known as a Couta, it's known as a Couta, and sometimes down further it is also the Katonkel for the Afrikaans guys. In other parts of the world, it's called the Narrow Barred Spanish Mackerel. It's probably the most common name that side. Please guys, don't confuse it with a barracuda. Barracuda and a Couta are two completely different species, and they actually don't even look very similar other than their rough shape. Now, the Couta has got a fairly, what they call a lunate tail, so it looks like less like a V and more like a curved C kind of shape. A roughly, in cross section, it's almost like an ovally kind of shape, body, and they've got a fairly torpedo shape overall. So just as a rough idea. The front end, the business side of things, fairly large eye, and some real proper gnashes. We'll see if we can get a nice picture or video in here of those teeth, and they are sharp as all hell. They can cut through steel actually if they get the right angle on it. So sometimes the guys get bitten off and they say, oh no, I lost my bait to a shark or whatnot. Actually, it's just a big Couta that's bitten you off. So proper teeth, which links to the kind of fish or kind of food they're going to be feeding on, which we'll get to in a bit. And then the rest of the body, fairly white stomach, overall silvery color, and a bit more dark greeny mackerel-y color on top. That's which you guys should all know. That's where the mackerel color comes from. And then they've got these bars that run down along from top to bottom, all the way along, which gives it its kind of camouflage, if you want to call it that. So yeah, with that camouflage, it's going to be, when they're smaller, obviously hiding from predators, and when they're larger, or also when they're small, same sort of time, it's also going to be hiding from their prey. So the prey can't see them whether they're coming from the top or coming from underneath. Now, Couta is very fast. They call them speed breams, some of the guys, because of just that first run. When they take off, the sound that your reel makes, you didn't think it was possible for it to take off that quickly. Diet, you're looking at a fish that's going to eat mostly other fish, so piscivore, and he's going to also eat things like your squid, and he will eat an octopus and things like that if he gets hungry, or if that's in the mid-water, which is where they're going to be. So now your Couta are found mostly from your shallows through to about the continental shelf, and they're going to be more towards the surface than they are towards the bottom, although they will dwell close to the reef at the bottom when they're eating the reef fish and things like that. So when they're after the slinger and things, they're going to go more towards your rockier areas, but generally they're going to be cruising in more of a mid-pelagic kind of range. Where you're going to find them, Mossel Bay is probably the furthest south that you're going to get them in South Africa, but they're Indo-Pacific, so they go all the way up around and through to Australia side. So they're quite widespread. And on our IUCN list, as far as I can remember, they are pretty much green, so of least concern, but as long as they're being harvested properly. So remember, IUCN and your SASSI stuff works a lot on catch reports and things, and not just on the overall species. So it's what gets reported. So you're allowed 10 per person per day, which is a hell of a lot, but as a pelagic species, they grow very quickly. They mature at about 70 centimeters, both male and female. That's at about 1 to 2 years of age. So quite quickly that they get up to maturity from hatching from an egg to getting be able to breed. That is very quick. Overall size, we get them in two different classes in essence. What we call darts, which are your small Couta, say 5 kilos and under. Then your more shoalies, actually 3 classes. Shoalies are going to be from say 5 to 12 kilos, and then your crocodiles are anything over say 18 kilos, but generally more than 20 kilos. And this is kind of the time of year we're in, just before sardine season now. So it's really becoming that time of year when you get these really big Couta, and they are something to behold. They are beautiful fish, but just absolute. The name crocodile really sticks with them. Your max size that these fish are going to get, the Couta max out, the recorded max is about 2.2 meters, which is monstrous. absolutely monstrous fish. And that was, I think, 45 odd kilos in size. And your max recorded age is about 14, 15 years old. So they don't get very old, but because they're pelagics, they grow very quickly. 14 is still quite a long time for a fish to be around. Tackle wise, now there are a couple guys that have managed to catch them from the shore. I mean, recently we've had guys catch them with the drones from the shore itself, so ballooning baits out or putting baits in the mid-water kind of range, and whole bonnies, mackerel, live baits, things like that. Generally, not a fish that's commonly caught from the shore. The guys used to do it in Mozambique when you had the rip currents. They'd put out a shad on they'd basically have a piece of steel, rig it through the shad, catch them live obviously, rig it through the shad and put a treble hook just behind the head of the shad and put it into a rip current and let it swim out. And they used to nail the couta like that. The fishing like that is died down quite a lot. You very, very rarely actually hear of couta from the beach. Most of the couta are caught offshore, and that'll be via trawling of lures and trawling of baits, and then also spinning as well. Spinning wise, other places in the world they catch them on stick baits and spoons, whether it's jigging or throwing a spoon. But if you have something like your Assaultist, the 7-foot heavy, throwing poppers and stuff for tuna, you'd be surprised how many times the couta actually does come up and eat a popper. Normally a stick bait, so it's working a little bit quicker, but they will eat a popper as well. And then if you're using, on the bait side, dead baits, so the traces that Ray's gone through with you, rigging a dead bait, or whether it's a live bait just rigged through just the top lip. Remember, live baits, only top lip. If you put it through both lips, he can't breathe, so he's gonna die and he's gonna start behaving funny because you haven't balanced him properly. So, live baits, at any time of year, it can be quite tricky to catch live baits, so whatever you get, you can use. Just remember, it has to be legal size. So fish like, if you're catching, let's rough example, say a blacktail, and it needs to be 25 centimeters, you can't use one that's smaller just because you're using it as bait. That works across the board, whether you're shore or boat-based. But yeah, anything from lizardfish, sand soldiers, when you really can't get bait, but your top baits are bonitos, frigates, and mackerel. Walla walla would be your top dead bait, which we might do a video on that at some point. Sardines even work well as a dead bait. Red eyes work well as a live bait, but they die very quickly. And we'll do a bait video. Hang on for a future bait video. We'll go through all the baits and whether they're used offshore, inshore, everything. So yeah, the couta, quite a diverse species, quite an enigmatic species and a real character on our coast. Something that can be caught from the shore, but mainly caught on the boat. So yeah, just a fantastic, fantastic species that we get here, and something that if you haven't caught before, you really need to experience that first run of the couta. Cheers guys, and yeah, look out for more videos. Cheers.